The UES Artemis cut through the velvet black of interstellar space like a blade, its titanium hull reflecting distant starlight in a muted, silvery glow. From her vantage at the observation deck's panoramic viewport, Ambassador Celine Harcourt watched the constellations drift by as if in slow motion, each point of light a promise of something new or a warning of what humanity might awaken. The ship's gentle hum vibrated through the deck plating, a constant reminder that they were alive. Hurtling toward the unknown, Celine's heart beat in careful rhythm. 6 months earlier, she'd been a linguistics professor at the University of New Oxford, decoding ancient Martian dialects more tractable than the prospect of first contact with an alien civilization. Now, clad in the ceremonial white and gold Envoy uniform of the United Earth Council, she stood under the weight of history's gaze. Beside her, the diplomatic liaison, Ambassador Harold Yan Takahashi, adjusted his neural translator headset, its crystalline filaments humming softly. Ambassador Yan said, voice low in her ear, "We're entering the Lyridian sector in 15 minutes. All systems report a clean approach corridor. Hull integrity is green. Gravimetric dampeners nominal. Shall I brief you on the collective's protocol once more?" Celine nodded, brushing a strand of auburn hair behind her ear. "Yes, and remind me why we can't send warships information as backup." Her tone was half jest, but the tension in her shoulders betrayed her unease. "Because," Jan replied, with a grin, "this is diplomacy, not an invasion. If we arrive with an armada, the collective will assume hostile intent. Our entire mission relies on the Artemis's peaceful posture, one vessel, one envoy, and a delegation of civil servants and scholars." She let out a breath, steadying herself. "Right, peaceful posture." In the communications chamber, Chief Engineer Marisol Roche monitored the quantum entanglement relay, linking them to Earth's command. Messages took 15 seconds to travel, each way rapid by cosmic standards, but agonizing in crisis. Today, Celine had promised only to brief reports, to preserve subspace bandwidth for emergencies. Their real-time link would wait until after the first audience. Round her, the deck bustled with activity. Xenobiologists calibrated atmospheric samplers. Behavioral psychologists studied the collective's known social rituals. The security detail, led by Captain Idris Malik, maintained a discreet watch, 5 tall figures in matte black suits, their faces masked behind adaptive visors that could filter infrared or scan for concealed threats. Malik caught Celine's eye and offered a curt nod, a silent assurance that, whatever happened, he would protect her at any cost. A soft chime echoed through the Artemis. Ambassador Harcourt intoned the AI voice, "We will breach the collective border into minutes. Please prepare for potential subspace turbulence." Subspace turbulence, the unpredictable fluctuations in the fabric of subspace that could buffet a ship's shields and disrupt sensor rays. Civilian vessels often avoided these regions, but diplomatic missions were given priority corridors. Even so, no two corridors were ever identical. Celine's stomach fluttered. She turned back to the viewport. The Lyridian nebula loomed ahead, a heaving cloud of violet and emerald gas illuminated from within by newborn stars. The collective's border shimmered as a faint bluish haze, a force field generated by gravitational manipulators spanning light minutes. Beyond it lay the world of Aurelian Prime, glittering with bioengineered flora and crystalline spires. "Brace for entry." Marisol called over comms. The ship dipped slightly as the shields flared. Glowing with pale energy, sensors flickered. For a heart-stopping second, everything went dark. Then the lights returned, brighter, tinged with the nebula's spectral hues. The Artemis's forward cameras revealed the collective's city ship, an immense vessel hundreds of kilometers long, its outer hull alive with bioluminescent tendrils. Enormous crystal towers spiraled skyward, connected by filaments of living metal. At its core, a gaping docking throat pulsed in welcome or warning. A collective cheer rose from the crew. Celine inhaled, savoring the moment. "All right," she said softly, placing both hands on the railing. "This is it." The docking protocols initiated. The Artemis's engines shifted to low-thrust gravimetric coupling, and the ship eased. Forward, a series of magnetic clamps extended from the collective's hull. and latched onto the Artemis's docking collar. The two vessels locked together with a resonant thrum, and the ambience lights shifted to emerald green, the signal that the collective's welcoming systems had cleared them for INGRESS. As the docking hatch cycled open, a scent unlike any on Earth wafted through the airlock, a blend of ozone and something organic, almost floral. Celine closed her eyes and breathed deeply. Each diplomat had undergone months of xenophysiological training to adapt to this environment, and each had sworn oaths of non-interference. Yet nothing could fully prepare one for the reality of an alien world. She stepped onto the collective's gangway, ivory boots clicking against polished living crystal. Jan hovered at her side, clutching a datapad with the greeting speech in 36 dialects. Behind them, the delegation followed in careful formation, human delegates flanked by AI-driven service drones. Their uniforms glowed faintly, woven with nanofibers that would adapt to the local atmospheric composition. At the end of the gangway stood 6 delegates of the Aurelian collective. They formed a semicircle round a central dais where a 7-pointed emblem of living crystal hovered midair. None wore clothing as humans understood it. Their attire was part of their bodies' bioluminescent tendrils that pulsed in rhythm, with their neural signals communicating mood and intention through subtle color shifts. Celine swallowed her apprehension. This was the culmination of generations of hope, of scholars who dreamed of cosmic kinship, of soldiers who trained for potential conflict, of politicians who risked careers for the promise of peace. She lifted her chin, squared her shoulders, and activated the universal translator implanted at her throat. In perfect tones borrowed from each delegate's cortex, she spoke Earth's greeting. Honored members of the Aurelian collective, I bring you peace from our world, Earth home to over 10 billion souls, united in curiosity and hope. We seek knowledge, fellowship, and reciprocal exchange, so that no species need face the void alone. For a moment, the chamber was silent. Then, one delegate, a towering being of sapphire biocrystal with 6 gleaming eyes, stepped forward. Its tendrils glowed a gentle cerulean. It spoke not in words, but in resonant harmonics that the translator rendered into human speech. Earth's voice is heard across the stars. Your courage is noted. We shall convene to determine our response. Celine nodded, offering a small, respectful bow. Thank you. We await your wisdom. She turned to gesture toward the observation balcony overlooking the chamber, where other delegates waited. Just as she began to escort the delegation forward, the lights flickered once, twice, then dimmed entirely. The hum of life support systems dipped, and an eerie hush fell over the chamber. Alarms blared in the Artemis as the docking clamps disengaged. The massive city ship lurched, its bioluminescent waves throbbing. Celine's pulse spiked. What's happening? She demanded, voice tight. Marisol's voice crackled in her earpiece. Shield overload, some kind of inverse gravimetric pulse. We're losing cohesion with the docking port. Security shutters slammed down at the edges of the chamber. The delegates recoiled, colors shifting to defensive patterns. Captain Malik drew his sidearm, stance wide. Celine raised a gloved hand to calm him and froze as a slender silhouette appeared at the top of the dais, the barrel of a plasma sniper rifle glinting in the residual emergency lights. Time slowed. Celine's last coherent thought was that, in all her training, diplomacy, xenolinguistics, crisis negotiation, no one had prepared her for this moment. A single, silent pulse of energy leapt through the darkness and everything changed. The chamber plunged into semi-darkness, the bioluminescent walls throbbing as the collective's power surge fought to stabilize. Ambassador Celine Harkert's breath caught in her throat as the ground beneath her vibrated, a low rumble that felt like the heartbeat of an angry god. In the wavering light, she saw 6 pairs of alien eyes widen in alarm, and beyond them, the silhouette of a lone figure atop the central dais. For a heartbeat, time stilled. Celine's mind raced through every contingency she had rehearsed. She would raise a placating hand, call for calm in measured tones, invoke the sacred treaties of first contact. But something about the figure's lean, fluid stance told her this was no diplomatic protest. The slender form clutched a long barrel to sleek, to deliberate, to be anything but a weapon. Captain Idris Malik reacted first. He darted forward, sidearm already drawn, but the chamber's emergency shutters slammed shut at its far edge, sealing the entrances. The living crystal beneath Malik's boots glowed crimson with alarm. Dr. Lunia, the xenopsychologist, let out a strangled cry of surprise before horror froze her on the spot. Celine's heart thundered. She spun toward the assailant, instincts overriding protocol. "Stop," she screamed, voice echoing off the curved walls. "This is a peaceful mission." The gun spoke before the figure did, a silent beam of superheated plasma and then agony. Celine's right hand flew to her chest as fresh pain blossomed beneath her uniform. The world tilted. She saw Jan's horrified mouth form an inarticulate sound. Captain Malik's charge halted midway. Security drones spinning to life in a futile scramble. Celine's knees buckled, every breath a rasp of betrayal. Around her, the delegates recoiled, their bioluminescent tendrils flickering from gentle cerulean to alarmed amber. One delegate tall, crystalline, eyes like liquid gemstone rushed forward, raising a limb in an attempt to shield her. But the sniper's second shot found its mark with surgical precision. She crashed to her knees, the crystalline floor slick with her own blood. The translator at her throat crackled with static. Her voice emerged as a hoarse whisper. "We come in peace." The words were a dying prayer. Behind the dying ambassador, the chamber erupted. The delegates unleashed a chorus of high-pitched alarms, vibrational tones that rattled the air. Security drones emitted electric pulses, attempting to stun the assassin. Captain Malik dove for cover, firing round after round. The stun bolts exploded against the mineral walls with harmless sparks. The figure vanished in a blur of living crystal columns and strobing light. Across the chamber, the docking collar's feedback alarms began to scream. The Artemis trembled as magnetic clamps disengaged, sending ripples of shock through both vessels. In that chaos, a massive sliding door at the far end of the days burst open, disgorging a security squad of the collective's own, armored figures wielding curved biosabers and pulsar rifles, their movements swift, deadly, and dismissive of Earth's protocols. Jan scrambled to Celine's side as a crystalline delegate pressed a glowing hand against her shoulder. "Medic," the alien intoned in clipped harmonics. "We must stabilize her immediately." But Celine's senses dimmed. The world spun in violet and emerald arcs, the delegates' faces merging into a kaleidoscope of alarm. Her final sight was Jan's face, aghast, horrified, hands slick with her life before the darkness claimed her. Moments later, throne chambers. Emergency lockdown sealed every exit. Emergency lights bathed the walls in a sickly green glow. Medbed drones descended, their mechanical arms whirring as they began cortical scans, attempts to reroute her neural pathways, to staunch the bleeding with biogel injectors. Yet, none of it could undo what the sniper had wrought. When the head medic withdrew her scalpels, the sprawled body of Earth's Envoy lay still, crystal veins on her uniform pulsating once, then fading to nothing. Captain Malik slumped against the column beside the days, weapons still smoking. His visor flared with HUD symbols: hostile, unidentified, threat level, critical. Yet he could not bring himself to hunt the killer. His gaze remained fixed on Celine's lifeless form. A single red light blinked on his compad. Artificial intelligence override required. Somewhere deep in the Artemis, Chief Engineer Marisol would be fighting to override security locks so they could reclaim the ship. And her, farther back, the 6 Aurelian delegates had formed a tight circle, their tendrils intertwined in a display of communal grief. The towering sapphire crystallian, eyes brimming with luminescent tears, pressed a cluster of resonant generators to the floor. Instantly, a low-frequency hum enveloped the chamber, a grief song that resonated in every living thing's bones. Delegates of all races bowed their heads. Some wailed, others wept in patterns of shimmering light. Jan got to his feet, voice shaking. They've killed her," he whispered, half to himself. "Our ambassador, murdered during a peace mission." His translator flickered, attempting to convert his choked words into harmonics the delegates could parse. But grief, it seemed, needed no translation. An elder delegate stepped forward, Lyrael of the Vore, whose bioluminescent vines pulsed with solemn purple. She placed a hand atop Selene's folded one. "Our laws demand justice for this atrocity," she declared, voice rich with ancient weight. "We shall not let this act stand. We will discover the perpetrator. We will mete out our judgment." Her words ignited a chorus of agreement. The delegates glowed fierce indigos and bruised lavenders. Security squads sealed the chamber further, scanning every inch of the dais for residual energy signatures. Holographic tracers flared, mapping the assassin's trajectory leading to the hydrofungal gardens along the eastern balcony. Captain Malik broke free of his trance. "I need clearance to pursue," he barked, visor flaring. "That weapon has human tech signatures possibly stolen. We're being framed." The sapphire crystallian turned, eyes narrowing. "If you pursue our inquiry unilaterally, you breach our sovereignty." Jan interjected, voice urgent. "We're on your world. Our rules apply here. But by protocol, a joint task force, your investigators and ours must collaborate." A murmur rippled across the delegates. Some tendrils glowed, hopeful greens, others flickered distrustful reds. The chamber's tension spiked. At that moment, the head medic, an eight-limbed being whose body glowed like molten silver, entered, kneeling by Selene and lifting her visor to scan neural activity. The medic's tendrils flashed blinding white. For a heartbeat, then she withdrew with a soft sigh. Her heart has ceased. She is gone. Silence crashed over the chamber like a tidal wave. Delegates backed away, as though fear of death itself might cling to every surface she had touched. Jan sagged, cradling Selene's folded hands. Malik's rifle clattered to the floor as he bowed his head. From the gardens beyond, the soft burble of hydrofungal pools sounded eerily calm against the chaos. Outside, the Artemis's engines thrummed under emergency power, its crew preparing for retaliation or withdrawal, depending on orders from Earth. Subspace comm channels glowed red with incoming messages. President Morrison's face would appear any second, demanding answers. In the hydrofungal gardens, through a crack in the garden entrance, the sniper watched events unfold. Their visor lit the path in infrared, a mosaic of bioengineered flora that filtered toxins from the collective's air supply. They adjusted the weapon's cooling vents and began erasing footprints, synthesizing the composite energy cell in its stock until it vanished in a cloak of nanofiber ash. Memory files flicked across their helmet HUD. Target designation Selene Harcourt. Secondary datum silenced the mission. Tertiary frame Earth military. The mission had gone perfectly. Now, extraction. A hidden sluice door at the garden's edge sealed open, leading into a service tunnel. The assassins slipped away on magnetic catwalks beneath the spired towers, leaving no trace but the blood on the dais and a world on the brink of war. Back in the throne chamber, Lyral straightened, voice resonant. "Let it be known, any who refuse to aid in this investigation shall be considered complicit." She turned to Captain Malik. "You will select 3 of your finest officers to join our adjudicators. You will share all sensor data, all scans, all everything." Malik's visor blinked. Compromise. He bowed, agreed. Jan exhaled, relief and dread mingling. "We'll cooperate fully, but we insist on interviewing your entire sect of the Crimson Hand and the Voroth Syndicate liaison." At the mention of the Crimson Hand, tendrils on several delegates bloomed scarlet. One delegate, a lithe, amber-skinned figure, hissed through fractal mandibles. "They are here by treaty, not by choice. But I will allow their archives to be searched." The amphitheater's bioluminescence dimmed to a somber violet. As preparations began for the joint inquiry, medbed drones lifted Selene's body, shrouding it in a soft cocoon of regenerative gel. The chamber doors opened once more, this time by deliberate design, forming a human-alien procession led by Lyral, Jan, and Captain Malik, winding toward the vast data vaults, buried deep within the living city. As they marched, the hush of the delegates deepened, an ominous silence pregnant with grief, suspicion, and an unspoken vow. They would answer for this or they would die for it. And somewhere, hidden in the labyrinthine corridors of Aurelian Prime, the architect of this betrayal watched and waited, knowing that the seeds of annihilation had been sown. Night had fallen over New Olympus, Earth's gleaming orbital capital. Yet the city was bathed in the harsh glare of alert sirens and emergency floodlights. From every quadrant of the planet, subspace relays crackled with the news. They have killed our envoy. Within minutes, every seat of government, every military command center, and every media platform had been seized by the same grim report. Point 1. Emergency at the United Earth Council in the marble halls of the United Earth Council. Hundreds of delegates crowded into the Grand Assembly Chamber. Holographic displays hovered above the central dais, broadcasting the final seconds of Celine Harcourt's transmission, her voice wavering, but resolute. The phrase "we come in peace" echoing across the globe. The chamber's usual bustle of diplomatic courtesy had been replaced by a tense hush and the dull roar of outrage. President Cale Morrison rose from his seat, his normally composed face hard with grief and anger. At 47, he was the youngest leader in Earth's history to manage both planetary unity and interstellar diplomacy. Now his voice rang out over the assembly. Ambassador Harcourt was murdered while on a mission of peace, a crime so vile cannot go unanswered. The Aurelian Collective must explain this atrocity. We will demand immediate reparations, and if they refuse, we will mobilize every asset at our disposal. A chorus of assent met his words. Military liaisons flicked red flags of DEFCON Gamma, and planetary defense protocols edged toward full wartime readiness. Yet beneath the fury, a quieter tension simmered. Would Earth's response unite humanity, or would it expose fractures too deep to mend? 2. Admiral Chow's discovery. Elsewhere, beneath layers of security clearances, Admiral Lena Chow pored over sensor logs transmitted from the Artemis. The flagship's black box equivalent, codenamed RLX, had recorded every microsecond of the mission up to Celine's final breath. Chow's eyes widened when she detected a familiar signature in the sniper's weapon discharge. A plasma injector coil patterned identically to those developed under Project Artemis Spirit, top-secret military program authorized by the Council itself. Her heart thundered. Artemis Spear had been devised to deploy subliminal attack drones capable of surgical strikes on hostile installations. Its very existence was supposed to be compartmentalized, accessible only to the highest echelons of military command. Yet here it was, the technology used to assassinate their own envoy. Chow tapped into the classified archives. Files labeled Eclipse Directive, Operation Dawn Shroud, and Nocturne Protocol swirled across her display, each more damning than the last. The counselors who oversaw Artemis Spear had debated using the assassination of Aurelian delegates as justification to seize the Collective's planet for its mineral wealth. Her stomach turned at the implication. Earth had planned a false flag provocation. She reached for her compad and activated the secure channel to Director Malik of Intelligence. Chow, Director Malik, you need to see this. I'm pulling Artemis Spear logs. The weapon matches our own specs. Malik, voice distorted by encryption. On my way. Moments later, Malik stormed into the command console, eyes bloodshot. He studied the traces, then shut his comlink with a snap. Malik, this isn't just a leak. This is conspiracy. Someone in the council sanctioned the sniper. Someone wants war. 3. The council's schism back in the Grand Assembly. Debate tore at the unity President Morrison had so painstakingly forged. Hardliners, led by Defense Committee Chair General Mart Evren, clenched their fists in fury. Evren, we cannot trust the Collective to deliver justice. We must strike first, disable their fleets, cripple their command centers. Only then will they show remorse. Opposing her was Envoy Director Elise Park, Celine Harcourt's longtime friend and mentor, voice trembling with anger barely contained. Park, if we unleash our weapons, we betray every principle Celine stood for. War will cost billions of lives. If the weapon was ours, then we must root out the traitors, hold them accountable. Before pointing a single phaser at Aurelian Prime, cameras captured every furious exchange across Earth. Citizens watched aghast as their leaders teetered on the brink of civil strife. Protests erupted in the streets, some demanding vengeance, others pleading for restraint. 4. Celine's final transmission. High above the chaos, a forgotten subspace beacon aboard the Artemis pulsed with one last encrypted signal. Chief Engineer Marisol Roche intercepted it while resetting the relay's power routines. Unidentified data packet incoming priority 1. Roche's fingers danced across her console. She decrypted the packet, revealing Celine's hidden log, a voice recording, her tone hushed and urgent, made moments before she left Earth. Celine soft, urgent. If anything goes wrong, and I fear it might, the real saboteurs are within. They've co-opted Artemis' spear for political gain. I've embedded the override codes in a subcode that only reads under your personal cipher, Jan. If I don't return, use it to access the Council's highest logs, expose the truth. Promise me. Jan, you'll trust no one else. Jan Takahashi, now at Roche's side, paled as he played the rest of the message. The final syllables caught in his throat. Celine's last hope that her friend would salvage peace from the conspiracy that devoured her. 5. A secret mission be pre-dawn. Admiral Chow and Director Malik had assembled a covert task force, 5 starship captains, 2 intelligence officers, and Jan Takahashi himself. They met in the bowels of the Central Command Spire, beneath the polished ceremonial chambers. Chow quiet but steel-eyed. We cannot wait for the Council to act. They're divided, manipulated by those who want blood. We're going rogue, locate the Council members behind Artemis' spear, extract the data, and get it broadcast to every system. We'll prove Earth's complicity in the assassination and force a genuine truce. Each member nodded, aware of the stakes. If they failed, they would be branded traitors, hunted by their own government. But if they succeeded, they might still prevent the war that loomed on the horizon. Jan pressed a holo button. A three-dimensional map of the Council's secure data vaults shimmered into view. Lines of red traced corridors, biometric locks, and automated defenses. Jan, I'll lead the infiltration. Celine's override codes should open the inner sanctum. Once we're in, we have under 5 minutes to copy the logs before the AI security protocols initiated data wipe. Chow drew a breath. Then time is short. We mobilize at 0400 hours. May Celine's voice guide us. 6. A world on the edges. The small fleet slipped through Earth's orbital defenses under stealth. The Grand Assembly erupted with news of the covert task force. President Morrison's voice tight and furious blared across secure channels. Morrison, enact Operation Hammerfall. Deploy the Orion battle group to the Lyridian border. Authorize preemptive strikes on any Aurelian vessel within range. Across the globe, air raid sirens began to wail. Citizens peered nervously at the skies, uncertain whether to hope for peace or prepare for the inferno to come. Below, the task force's shuttle bays cycled open. Jan Takahashi kissed the datapad containing Celine's override codes, as if committing her last words to memory. Admiral Chow and Director Malik boarded alongside him, their faces set with grim resolve. Above them, the orbital city pulsed with red alert lights, a world divided, teetering between revenge and justice, driven by fears both external and internal. And somewhere, hidden in the heart of power, lay the truth that could either unite humanity and its new alien brethren, or destroy them all. In that fragile moment, the scales of fate trembled and the universe held its breath. The alarm sirens wailed across Earth and echoed through the vast corridors of Aurelian Prime. At 3:17 UTC, as the first shafts of sunlight crept over Earth's eastern horizons, Operation Hammerfall went live. 1. Orbital onslaught from the command deck of the UES Orion. Vice Admiral Hannah Reyes watched the holomap of the Lyridian sector flicker red. Hundreds of Aurelian city ships, their bioplasma banks humming at full power, massed beyond the nebular boundary. Target acquisition, Reyes ordered, voice grim. Focus on the lead frigates, disable their gravweave cores. Fire on my mark. Below her, a swarm of orbital platforms opened up with synchronized precision. Beams of pure antimatter energy lanced through the nebular tendrils, scorching the living metal hulls of the first Aurelian cruisers. The collective's shields flared, then collapsed in cascading rupture. Direct hits on 3 cruisers. Reported Tactical Officer Lau. Shield generators offline. Their bioplasma feedback is destabilizing. Yet not all beams found their mark. The Aurelian fleet answered with volleys of organic charged bolts. each pulse unleashing corrosive acids that ripped through Earth's point defense grids. Explosions blossomed across the Orion's shields. Reinforced portside turrets. Reyes barked. Evasive maneuvers Vector 622. We must hold the line until reinforcements arrive. Around her, the Orion trembled as the battle of Annihilation raged. The smoke-black void lit up like a grotesque fireworks display, each flash heralding death. To Earth's surface, a planet at war halfway around the world. In Berlin's underground command center, President Morrison stood, flanked by generals and civilians alike. Behind them, a colossal holowall showed streams of impact data, cities under fire, orbital debris rains, and the ever-growing ghost graph of civilian casualties. Morrison's jaw was set. Continue the strike, he ordered. Level the biorefineries. On Aurelian Prime, we will dismantle their ability to wage war. A murmur of dissent rippled through the advisory council. Envoy Director Elise Park raised a shaking hand. Sir, once we commit to genocide, there's no turning back. We risk becoming the very monsters we sought to oppose. Morrison's eyes hardened. With respect, Director, that ship has sailed. They murdered our ambassador. Their peace was a lie. Park's face crumpled. She bowed her head in silent despair. Outside, rallies of humanity took to the streets. Some cheered the glassing of an alien world. Others wept for the innocents lost. War had come to Earth personal, visceral, and irrevocable. 3. The Covert Task Force. Race against time simultaneously. Cloak beneath Earth's orbital defenses. Celine Harcourt's secret task force hurtled toward the Grand Assembly spire. Aboard their modified shuttle, Yan Takahashi double-checked the override codes etched into his neural implant. Admiral Chow and Director Malik stood ready in the gear bay, their faces lined with tension. Data vault breach in T-minus 90 seconds, Yan intoned. The shuttle's grav drives glowed blue as they slipped through a narrow maintenance shaft, bypassing biometric locks and orbital drones. Down below, in the captain's vault, an AI sentinel pulsed with neon glyphs. Its synthesized voice droned. Unauthorized access detected. Initiating lockdown in 30 seconds. Go, Malik shouted. He and Chow sprinted forward, magnetic boots clamping to the vault's curved walls. Yan placed his palm against the doors. Crystal sensor, reciting Celine's cipher. The lock clicked, and a blast-sealed chamber slid open to reveal racks of holocylinders, each containing encrypted archives of council deliberations. Chow connected a data spike to the central core. The vault's AI flared its circuitry, rejecting the intrusion. Override. Yan, Chow hissed. Yan closed his eyes, reciting Celine's whispered code. The AI stuttered, its neon glyphs sputtering, then collapsed in a cascade of sparks. Within seconds, the task force downloaded terabytes of logs, transcripts of secret sessions authorizing Project Artemis spear assassinations, chains of command, implicating high-ranking council members, and direct orders to frame the collective. Got it. Yan breathed. An explosion rocked the vault. Smoke poured in as automated defense drones plunged through the breach hatch, their twin pulse blasters charging. Malik dove, firing his sidearm in sweeping arcs. Chow rolled, sending a seismic charge that cleaved the drones in half. Yan grabbed the final holocylinder and slipped it into his pack. Extraction now, Chow barked. The three charged back through the maintenance shaft, alarms blaring behind them. For Aurelians far from Earth's retaliatory fury, the Aurelian collectives. Council chamber convulsed in grief and outrage. Lyrael of the Vore stood before the wreckage of her world's finest ships, her dignified voice trembling with fury. Earth has forsaken peace and committed genocide. She declared, let all worlds bear witness to their treachery. Delegates across the nebula cried for vengeance, yet a smaller voice rose above the clamor. It was Sarek of the Solari, a diplomat who had once befriended Celine. His tendrils, usually pulsating with calm greens, now glowed a fiery orange. Stop this madness, he implored. There are those among us who seek to burn both worlds to ashes. Send emissaries, allow the broadcast of our evidence of council corruption. Show them the truth. Lyrael paused, her bioluminescence dimming. If your proposal can undo this atrocity. A hush fell. The collective's data weave channels syncs with Yawn's hidden transmission. Across every listening device on Aurelian Prime, the stolen holo-cylinders played, Earth counselors admitting to sabotage, scheming for mineral conquest, framing the collective for war. In real time, the broadcast jumped earthward, to every news feed, every military gateway, every personal holoscreen. Citizens of Earth gasped as their leaders' darkest betrayals spilled into the light. Point 5. Turning the Tidith the UES Orion. The battle still raged when Admiral Reyes saw the flash of red-blue taint on her viewport. The data broadcast reaching the Lyridian front. Cease fire, she roared. Cease fire, now. But half her turrets could not be retracted in time. A final salvo of antimatter lances slashed across the nearest cruiser, incinerating friend and foe alike as the crew struggled to interpret the new orders. Below, Earth's global command centers erupted. President Morrison's face appeared on every holoscreen, pale, defeated. "My fellow citizens," he said, voice quavering, "the evidence is irrefutable. I have been betrayed by those I trusted most. I order an immediate ceasefire. We will stand down." A stunned silence fell across Earth's forces. Moments later, silence stretched across the void. No beams of death streaked from Orion's guns. No bioplasma bolts lashed back. On Aurelian Prime, Lyrio lowered her hands, the memory of war's first fires still glowing on her crystalline skin. Sarek turned to her. "It is not too late." 6. Aftermath and shadow. Yet the rupture ran deep. Across both worlds, armies in no man's space raised their weapons again, not in battle, but in mutiny. Hardliners on Earth enraged at their leader's deceit, sabotaged the ceasefire. Radical collective sects declared open war on any who showed mercy. Admiral Chow's task force, now hailed as heroes by some and traitors by others, became fugitives. Yan Takahashi, clutching Celine's cipher chip, wondered if peace would ever be possible. In the shadows of political labyrinths, the real puppeteers, those who had orchestrated the assassination, smiled as their greatest victory unfolded. Two civilizations torn apart by their own hands, and somewhere beyond the nebula, the sniper watched the holostream of chaos. The final log entry blinked on their HUD. Phase 2. Contagion. Seeds of fear have been sown. Above them all, the cosmos hung silent, bearing witness to Earth's fall from hope. The annihilation had begun, but not with a fiery blast. It began in the mind, in the cracked trust between worlds, from which no shield could ever fully protect.